You are listening to Productivity Straight Talk with your host, Amber De La Garza. Amber is a sought-after productivity coach, trainer, speaker, and writer who gives entrepreneurs the straight talk on personal productivity. No BS, fluff, or overused jargon. Just actionable strategies to get results and succeed in business. And here is your host, Amber De La Garza, the Productivity Specialist.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to Productivity Straight Talk. Today is episode 274, Unnormalizing Your Normal. If you're a business owner who wants to learn effective business strategies, improve time management, and elevate productivity to maximize profits, reduce stress, and make time for what matters most, then you're in the right place, and I'm so glad you've joined me. Today, we're going to be diving into the topic of recognizing that what has become your normal isn't normal. So you can call out what doesn't feel good in your business and begin to change your experience to one that is more joyful. If you would like further support, more accountability, and help with managing your time, creating more efficiency, or making a new hire, how about reducing the stress and overwhelm of running a business? Or making strategic decisions that will help you level up your business? Then I would love to talk to you. I invite you to schedule a discovery call so that we can discuss partnering together to help you get unstuck, reduce stress, and determine a clear path to increase profits. Head on over to amberdelagarza.com/call to schedule. And now let's get to the straight talk. One thing I do for my clients is call out the things that they've normalized in their business, which has made running their business much less joyful. Basically, it's like a death by 1,000 paper cuts when you continue to normalize negative things that are happening in your business as if you have no other options or no other better way of working. When I thought of creating today's episode, the title, Unnormalizing Your Normal, came to me very quickly. Because when you normalize something in your life or your business, you stop questioning it. You stop seeing it as something that can be different. And unfortunately, many of us normalize much of what's going on in our businesses and lives, and we stop questioning it. When I think back to my journey of becoming a business coach and specializing in efficiency and time management and processes, it all really comes back to the fact that I'm always asking questions. The way in which I see the world, which I know is a bit unique, is that I see the world through a lens of how can we make this better? How can it be more efficient? How can we do things a bit differently to make them easier? And I thought naively, 15 years ago, that everyone saw the world the same way I did. And obviously, that is far from the truth. But soon later, I realized that the way that I see the world is a gift that I can share with others by asking these questions, by questioning what has now become normal to them, where they have no longer questioned it and looked for other opportunities or ways to create, problem solve, or create solutions for themselves. So my call for you today is to recognize the things in your business and life that you have normalized. You no longer question, can it be different? You tell yourself it just is what it is. And ask you to re-look at these things in your business and ask yourself, is this the normal you want? Is this what you want your business to look and feel like? Is this the experience that you want as being a business owner? I'm sure many of you have heard of the apologue, boil a frog. And it's quite simply, I'll just paraphrase it, but it goes something like this. If you put a frog in boiling water, it will feel immense pain and quickly jump out of the pot. But if you were to put that same frog in room temperature water and then slowly bring the water to a boil, the frog would not perceive the danger and would unfortunately get cooked to death. Now, I have heard that saying before, and it can be applied to many different things. But I think it's fitting for today's conversation because oftentimes what we normalize isn't something that happens overnight, like just instantly. It's slowly. It's one thing after another that changes until it becomes your normal, until you are no longer questioning it. And I would argue that if you are currently not truly enjoying your business, that you're not truly enjoying being a business owner, leading your team, serving your clients, that you also may have been normalizing things that I would ask you to unnormalize and start questioning. Now, you may be asking yourself, well, what could possibly be this list? Like, what is Amber talking about when she says, I've normalized something? Well, I've created a pretty lengthy list of things that I see commonly that business owners are normalizing in their business and life. But before I share this list with you, the reason I'm sharing this list with you is for you to get thinking about, wow, so it can be different? You mean that doesn't need to be my normal? That I can raise my standards, that I can demand something different for myself and my business? Absolutely. Now, along with the lesson that I wanted to share with you today, the lesson of asking you to unnormalize your normal, once I started writing the content for today's episode, I realized that this list that I'm getting ready to share with you, I have a lot of resources here on the podcast from the past 270 plus episodes that are very much aligned with these areas in which I find business owners normalizing. And in those episodes, you are going to find me sharing with you the opportunity to change it, to solve it, to problem solve, to do something different in your business. And that's really what I'm sharing in each episode of Productivity Straight Talk. But I really wanted to create this not just as a lesson, but a really thorough resource for you to go back to the library at Productivity Straight Talk and dig deeper into each of these areas that you, when you take an inventory and hear the rest of today's episode, that you tell yourself, oh my gosh, maybe I have been normalizing that. And what would that look and feel like if I started questioning it so that I can find solutions and problem solve? So let's dive into that list. I am sure that you are in the car, out for a run, you're listening to me while you may not be taking notes. So if you want to listen to this episode and come back to the show notes, we will be linking out to all of these episode resources in the show notes. And you can find the show notes at amberdelagarza.com/274. That'll take you to my website where we will have it very easy and accessible for you to find each of the episodes I'm referring to. All right, let's jump into this list of areas in which you may be normalizing. How about having a team member come in late, calling out, providing subpar work? Or maybe they have lack of professionalism, or they're not exactly having the best phone etiquette with your clients. Have you told yourself, well, it just is what it is. I think it's going to be hard to find somebody different. Or maybe you're telling yourself, well, they're late, but at least they're coming in. And oh my gosh, I can't imagine what that would look like if they just quit on me. That's you rationalizing and normalizing this behavior that when you set out to be a business owner and lead your team, I would bet that is not what you envisioned for yourself. We have many episodes about leading your team and hiring, but the one that I want you to go back and listen to if this is a struggle is episode 249, 15 Actions to Lead Your Team Effectively. Next on the list, having no boundaries with your clients. And no boundaries, meaning they have access to you all the time. They're calling, they're texting, they expect that you email them immediately. They're reaching out to you after hours or on weekends. My friend, it does not need to be that way. And you may have normalized it by rationalizing that if you don't, will your business succeed? If you don't respond to them on the weekend, will they work with you? And I'm here to tell you that if you have strong, healthy boundaries that you can communicate to your clients, the right clients will work with you. And I don't want you coming from a place of scarcity or fear of not wanting to actually enjoy working with your clients. And one way to really enjoy the work you do is to have these boundaries. And we have a lot of episodes, but here's 2 really good episodes about boundaries. Episode 138, How to Stop Your Clients from Trampling Your Boundaries with Melissa Morris. And the other episode I want to refer you to is episode 177, 3 Steps to Making Boundaries, Business Boundaries Successful. And so it's not just about having boundaries, but how do you hold those boundaries? How do you make that part of your new norm is that you have boundaries? That episode's going to share with you my strategies. Next, have you normalized working late or on weekends? My guess is that maybe at the beginning of starting your business, you rationalize or justify, I just need to work this weekend and next weekend to get going. Once I get team members, I won't work late anymore. But then something happens. That 1 hour, that one time working late turns into 2 times, turns into the weekend, turns into that's just the way it is for you. And I'm here to tell you that you can have an incredibly successful business and you can do it on your own schedule. And if you don't want to be working weekends and you don't want to be working late at night, there are tons of reasons why that might be happening. Most of them we talk about here at Productivity Straight Talk, and I certainly work with my clients to solve those problems and those challenges in their businesses, is why are you working late and weekends? Instead of normalizing it and looking the other way and saying that's just the way it needs to be, this is the question that we ask is if it wasn't that way, if you were working your ideal schedule, what is holding you back? And we can dig deep into those challenges and we solve for those. We fix for inefficiencies. We fix for not having the support from the staff that can really help you still get the work done within normal business hours. That is just a few. But if you are currently working late in weekends and you resent it, but you've told yourself that's just the way it is, it doesn't need to be that way. Next, just doing it all yourself. You tell yourself, if it's going to be done right, it's going to be done fast, I'm going to do it. Listen, I don't believe that any big goal worth pursuing was meant to be pursued on our own. And I do not believe that we were meant to do this journey of entrepreneurship by ourselves. So how can you ask for help? And most obviously, that might be asking for help with team members. So that might be that you need to look at hiring. Or maybe you have team members, but you don't have the skill set to accurately get the results you want from delegating. Or perhaps you don't want to do it yourself and you want to hire a business coach that can strategize with you and look at your business from a different perspective and ask the questions that you can no longer see because you're in the weeds and the day-to-day of your business. One of the episodes that I think would be really helpful here is episode 187. It's the 5 musts to delegate effectively and be satisfied with the results. So if you currently have team members and you're not getting the results you want, I would go back and listen to that episode so that you don't have to tell yourself any longer that you are the only one that can do it if you want it done right or want it done fast. Next, have you normalized having bad clients? This one's really ironic to me because many of you probably started your business because you had a bad boss, because you didn't have a great experience at your last company or your corporate job. You had managers that you just despised. And yet we get into business and then we tell ourselves like, yeah, it's just the way it is. We get bad clients. Sometimes that's just what happens. So now you have many bad bosses instead of one boss. And I am a firm believer that our businesses are meant to serve. They're meant to serve us as the business owner, our families. It's meant to serve our clients whom we're giving them a service to. And nowhere in there says that you have to work with clients that you consider are bad. Now, what would be a bad client? Someone that doesn't respect your time, that challenges you, argues with you, doesn't want to pay, breaks all your processes and your systems. It just feels like something that you're not looking forward to. You have that client where you don't want to have that meeting with, you don't want to pick up the phone, and you're dreading the next email from them. It doesn't need to be this way. You are empowered to choose who you work with. I did an episode, it's episode 232, and it's called Red Flag Clients, Recognizing the Warning Signs. And in that episode, I go through having a really good pre-qualification of potential clients and how to look for those red flags so that you can avoid them before they start. That's one way. And another way is to really understand that you can fire a client, even if you say yes, even if you move into contract with them. There is an opportunity where you can say, this isn't a fit for me any longer. And when we're looking at the tie between your business and productivity and efficiency, when you have someone that you're working with, a client that you are avoiding and you do not like, they're often energy vampires. And so when you're expected to show up your best and do your best work, when you have clients that are draining all of your energy, it's nearly impossible for you to show up your best. So you do not need to normalize that it's just part of the process, that it's just part of being a business owner, that you have to work with quote unquote bad clients. Here's another thing that I see business owners often normalize, and that is not getting paid what you're worth. Now, this can be said in a couple ways. It could be that your business isn't getting paid what it's worth, like you're not charging enough. But oftentimes what I see is that the business owner is not being paid their worth, that the profits are being reinvested in the business, that taking a draw or a paycheck is pushed off, or if you do, it's very minimal. And I want to tell you again, please, from my heart to yours, it does not need to be that way. I mentioned earlier that my belief is that our businesses are meant to serve us and our families. And I believe that you are worth getting paid. I think you are worth being able to take home a healthy paycheck to provide for you and your family and do other good things in the world with your money. You can give to your church or a charity. You could be making enough money so that you have the ability to volunteer time or other resources. You need to be paid what you're worth. And if that currently is not happening, please do not normalize that. Question that. Ask, what needs to be solved in my business so that I can get a paycheck that is in alignment with my value and alignment with what I need to be able to provide for those that I love. An amazing book that I recommend to everyone is called Profit First with Mike Michalowicz. If you haven't read that book, go to Amazon or Audible and go take a listen to this book. There are so many of the principles and strategies that I've implemented in my business. And I actually interviewed Mike Michalowicz about another book that he wrote. But in that interview, I shared my own story of how life-changing reading Profit First was. And when I took a stake and claimed that I would be paid my worth in the business and what I've contributed to the business, it was absolutely not just life-changing, but like changing with my relationship with the business, because I no longer saw my business as something that just kept taking time, energy, and resources from me, but that my business, once I invested in my business could then reinvest back into me and my family. Next, disorganization or a messy office, clutter, inefficiency, stacks of paper. Have you uttered the words of like, it's just so busy, that's the way it is, or that's my personality, that's just the way it is? It doesn't need to be that way. You could work at a fast pace, you could run a very successful business, and you still can create an environment that supports you showing up your best. It can look like an environment that makes you happy. And if disorganization, clutter, stacks of paper are not bringing you joy, but on the other hand, making you feel incredibly overwhelmed, it doesn't need to be that way. Next, feeling crappy, tired, stressed, exhausted, anxious, not feeling good, stomach issues, headaches, you name it. This is a huge one. And, I have seen firsthand, I've had a front row seat. I'd seen business owner after business owner put their own health and prioritizing their own self-care to the side. And at the pursuit of giving to their team and giving to their clients and building this business and having family and all the other responsibilities we have in this world, and take a back seat to your own health. And I am going to tell you that if you are in pursuit of living a more joyful, happy, having a successful business, showing up your best, energetic, this can no longer be normalized as it just is the way it is. And you have to claim and decide that that is not going to be your normal and start solving for it. Of course, there's various reasons why you could be feeling crappy, tired, stressed, exhausted, and anxious. But I did do a couple interviews with some people that have poured into my life personally. One of them was my previous holistic doctor I interviewed. And another one is one of my closest friends whom everything, all her content, how she helps her clients, and how she's helped me is in 100% alignment with my belief of prioritizing your health and your self-care. And those two episodes are going to be episode 52, Taking a Stand for Your Health and Wellness with Dr. Valerie Davidson. And then I did another interview, episode 168, Honoring Your Body, Mind, and Soul to Be Productive with Courtney Townley. Those are two great episodes as like a jumping off point to just start exploring why you might be feeling tired, stressed, anxious, crappy all the time. And I will say, I think for those of you that have listened to the podcast for some time, I have been dropping a little bit of hints and seeds to tell you I've been on my own journey. I'm still in the middle of my own healing journey. I am literally cannot wait to share it with you, but I truly believe that I need to share it from the other side, not while I'm in the middle of doing my own healing. But the journey that I'm currently on is all about improving my energy. Prioritizing my health is number one. And I've learned so much and I can't wait to share it with you. But what I can say is that this is not something to kick down the curb, and it's not something to say this is just the way it is. I would love for you to unnormalize this and fight and take a stand to say, to live a joyful life. I don't want to feel the anxious and exhausted and stressed out anymore. Next, have you normalized being busy all the time? Like all caps, all the time, saying yes to all the things, having a schedule that is so full that if one thing happens, the whole schedule is out of whack. A schedule and that you are feeling so stressed about that, quite frankly, isn't sustainable, but you've told yourself, this is just what it takes. This is normal. Please question that. Ask yourself, can I reach my goals and can this schedule look different? Do I need to say yes to all of these opportunities and requests of me? Or could I say no so that when I do show up, I am showing up my best? A couple great episodes where we talk about this is, well, one of them is episode 268, the number one scheduling mistake business owners make. And then episode 225 is, if it's not a hell yes, what is it? I would take a listen to those episodes just as a starting off point if you are currently running a schedule where you're busy all the time, that there is no space for downtime, recharge, relax. There's no downtime to explore other opportunities because you're go, go, go. All right. Have you normalized unfinished projects? Like, is that just the norm that you have? You start a project, you don't finish it, you get distracted, you go on to the next one, you get excited about a project and you start another one. These could be internal business projects. These could be client projects. Do you have a lot of unfinished projects? Well, I'm here to tell you it does not need to be that way. And oftentimes, unfinished projects create a lot of anxiety and stress, and most certainly is a waste of resources. For all of those unfinished projects, you have time and energy resources of you and or your team. And without getting them to the finish line, you do not get a return on that investment. So you have like all these wasted resources around you that you cannot reap the benefits of. So if you have a lot of unfinished projects, I would invite you to go listen to episode 220, Cleaning the Slate for a Fresh Start. In that episode, I aired it at the end of a year, just talking about, hey, like, what would that feel like if you started fresh next year without all these open loops and open projects? That can be applied at any time in the year. And so it's cleaning the slate for a fresh start. It's all about closing the loop on unfinished projects. Next, multitasking. Have you normalized multitasking? Like, do you even realize when you are multitasking? Do you know when you're multitasking? Have you told yourself that that's just the way you work? Or maybe you've even lied to yourself and told yourself that that's the way you work best. Well, I'm here to tell you that is not true. And if you truly want to be most efficient and most productive and get the most done in your day and in your business, then you, my friend, need to stop normalizing multitasking. I interviewed the author of an amazing little book that is a quick read, but oh so good, with just truly the research and stats and stories about multitasking. You really kind of need to read it to rewire your brain so that the thing you've always done, the thing you've normalized, multitasking, you can unwire that with other information that says, hey, this is actually not serving you. And that's episode 56. It's called Unveiling the Myth of Multitasking with Dave Crenshaw. Great interview, great book. This is another book that I often recommend to many, many business owners. Next, are you normalizing working without breaks? Like, do you tell yourself, oh, breaks are for employees, not for me? Like, I need to work right through my lunch. I'm eating at my desk. What do you mean a mid-morning break? What? Like an afternoon break? No. That's not for me. In fact, if you had been an employee prior to starting your business, it's the law for you to take your breaks. But something happens when we flip the switch and become the business owner and we normalize not taking breaks. And again, when you stop questioning that, when you stop saying, you know what? I actually feel better when I take a break. I'm actually more focused, more productive when I take a break. When you are not unnormalizing the fact that you're not taking breaks, you will be exhausted and burnout. In fact, it's a quick path to burnout. I go over this in episode 27. It's called Pushing Past Your Breaking Point. Pushing past your breaking point. And I just share some facts and some real examples of why it's actually beneficial to take breaks so that you can rewire your thoughts around that, and you can tell yourself and understand that you are not doing yourself a service of sacrificing your breaks at the pursuit of getting more done, at the pursuit of being more productive. In fact, it's the opposite. All right. Have you normalized procrastinating? Do you tell yourself and others things like, I work best when I procrastinate? There's just so much to do. Of course, I procrastinate. If it's urgent, it'll get done, but at the last minute. Procrastination does not need to be your normal. You can change that behavior. You can learn a different way of approaching your work. How about being late to meetings? When you normalize that, is usually along with some beliefs and thoughts that you tell yourself of, I'm always late. That's just who I am. You're talking like it's your personality or it's in your DNA. And I'm here to tell you that if you decide to unnormalize that, you can change that. You can show up on time or early to meet with clients, vendors, team members. You can change that loop of feeling embarrassed or shameful. You can change that loop of showing up late, and you might do amazing work, but you're kind of letting your clients down when you show up late. And so that overshadows the amazing work that you're doing for them. Are you normalizing showing up late? Next, have you normalized putting out fires all day long? Like, do you wear it as a badge of honor that is what you're good at? You can put out fires, you can solve problems. You get a little bit of a dopamine hit from putting out fires. You feel like, yes, I'm doing something. I am going from one thing to the next, and you love that adrenaline. Have you normalized putting fires out all day long? And those fires could be your fires and other fires. Many people find a huge identity in being the person that can solve all the problems in the business. And I would love to tell you that normalizing that is not serving you. In fact, it's doing you a disservice, because as long as you're wearing the hat of a firefighter, you really can't be wearing the hat of a business owner. It's very hard to wear the hat of a leader and also go and solve all of everyone's problems and challenges. You're not giving an opportunity for others to improve their skill set and become problem solvers in your business. So, if you've normalized putting out fires and you can't see a different version, like you're like, well, if not me, then who would be putting these fires out? There's there's more than a couple ways to approach it, but here's two. One is that you can empower your team members to solve problems in the business, and it does not need to be you, right? So someone else can help do the firefighting. But two, and probably even more effective, is find out why the fires are even happening and solve for that. Most fires are because of a lack of process, a lack of communication, a lack of preparing, something around your way of running your business is actually creating the fires. I go into much of that in episode 240. Firefighter, whose fires are you putting out in your business? Okay, so that's my list. I mean, there are so many more areas of your business and life I am certain that you have normalized, but I just wanted to give you a sampling of areas that you may be normalizing and invite you to unnormalize them. When you normalize all those things that we were talking about, you normalize your business not being joyful. You stop questioning it and you don't look for ways to improve it. It's like out of sight, out of mind, which makes you blind to the opportunities to raise your standards and improve them so that you can work better for your life and your business that you want to run. You have to call out what doesn't feel good to you in your business. Call it out and question it so that you can change your experience in your business. When you unnormalize something in your business, question it. call it out, and then seek for solutions to solve for it, you are absolutely changing your business. The opposite of normalizing is refusing to accept what is making you dislike running your business. So start with those top areas in your business that totally irritate you, that you've just told yourself that is the way it is. I thought today's episode could end with a couple examples of what this might look like for you in your business or your life. And when I was writing the content for this episode, a really recent story, but in my personal life, came to mind immediately. So I cook often. I cook probably 5-6 nights a week. And my family loves pasta. Now, gluten-free pasta, for those of you who know that I'm gluten-free, but I cook a lot of pasta. And when you cook pasta, you have boiling water and you need to strain it. And I hate straining the pasta. I'm always holding the strainer with one hand and this big pot in the other, and it's over the sink. And sometimes there's dishes in the sink, and I don't want it to touch the sink. I don't want the strainer to touch the sink because I don't want it to get dirty from the sink. And so I'm hovering the strainer over the sink and putting this pot and thinking, oh my gosh, don't burn me, don't spill the water. My hands often are getting steamed by the hot water. It is not fun at all. But yet, I do it all the time. I have gotten various strainers over the years trying to solve this problem, and it goes in and out. Sometimes I'm like, oh, this might help. And I try this little gadget, and then it doesn't fix it, and I don't try anymore. Well, let me tell you, I finally got completely frustrated, and it was like on my mind. I was like, there's got to be a better way with all these cool gadgets and people cooking. Like, this could not be everybody's reality, that they're just on the brink of burning their hands every time they're straining a hot pot of water. And then I went to my friend's house for a barbecue, and we were prepping in the kitchen, and we needed to clean off these vegetables and fruit. And she hands me this strainer with this big lip at the bottom and this big colander. It's a big pot. It's a strainer, but at the bottom is this huge lip. And I thought, oh my gosh, this is the solution to my problems. I can set it in the sink. I can pour all the pasta and hot water in it. It doesn't touch anything. It's stabilized. And I can use my 2 hands to pour the pot and not also hold the strainer. Now, for some of you are laughing and you're like, this is absolutely ridiculous that this is such an aha to you, Amber. For me, I was like, this literally changes my experience in the kitchen. It actually brings me more joy and less annoyance in the kitchen. And all I needed to do is continue to seek a solution instead of telling myself, oh, I guess everybody does it that way. That's just the way it is. And normalizing it. By not normalizing it and having it top of mind and saying to myself, there's got to be a different way, I believe that I was open to have seen this opportunity to buy this strainer. I kid you not, I went the next day to Walmart and bought the same strainer. And now, no issues, no challenges. I kind of laugh at myself. How could it be such a simple solution to alleviate such a stressor in the kitchen? My friend, you are doing this in your business. When you've normalized it, you stop looking for the opportunities to fix something. And yes, sometimes the fix is a bit more challenging than finding the right strainer. But sometimes it is as simple as finding the right strainer to alleviate your annoyances. So where in your business can you look for opportunities to raise your standards, tell yourself that this does not need to be what it's like, and really look for ways in which you can make it different? Since I gave you a personal example, I want to give you a business example. So, for example, have you normalized hitting a wall at 3 p.m.? Every day, you hit a wall, you're exhausted, you're feeling so tired, you're unable to focus the rest of the day. Maybe you're reaching for a sweet, extra cup of coffee, piece of candy, or a cookie. that you simply cannot focus at 3:00 every day. And you've told yourself, this has just got to be normal. Like, I work so hard. This is just the way it is. Doesn't everybody get tired in the afternoon at 3:00? When you start telling yourself those stories and normalizing it, you will not experience something different. Is it possible to not be exhausted at 3:00? Like, that's how you question it. I want you to ask yourself, is it possible not to show up late for a meeting? Is it possible to work with only clients I love? And if you can ask that question and honestly answer it, you're like, yeah, actually it is possible. Then the next thing is like, okay, so if it's possible, how can I make that happen? This is literally what I ask my clients all the time. What is it that you absolutely want? What is it that you want to experience in your business? And once I can get that from them, then I'm partnering with them to say, yes, that is possible. What do we need to solve or fix or change in your business so that you can live a life you love, run a business you love? All right, back to my example. So is it possible for someone not to be exhausted at 3:00 in the afternoon? Yes. So if it is, wouldn't it be to your advantage to start exploring, experimenting with answering the question of why are you tired every day at 3:00? Or you can ask a different question. What would help me not be tired at 3:00 every day? Could you take a lunch break? So if you've been skipping your lunch break, which means you're probably not fueling your body and getting the right food, you're not moving your body, you're not giving yourself a mental break, could you take a lunch break and then have a much more productive afternoon that you don't hit a wall and you're more able to focus? Could you eat a healthier lunch? Do you find that when you eat certain foods for lunch, you hit a wall at 3, and when you eat other foods, healthier foods that align with your body, that you can push through the rest of the afternoon and you are on fire? Do you need to take a cat nap? Now, my husband thinks I'm crazy because I am like a professional cat napper. I can set my alarm on my lunch break. So I take an hour lunch break every day. And if I'm feeling exhausted for whatever reason, I can set my alarm for 25 minutes, take a nap, get up, eat my lunch, do what I need to do, and back into the office. Now, that does not work for him, nor will it ever, but it does work for me. And how would I have known that if I didn't question what could work for me, right? All right. Could you decide that you're going to go for a walk mid-afternoon to move your body? So instead of pushing through and grabbing for a sweet or a cup of coffee, would it help you to go for a walk so that when you come back, you're refocused? What about changing the type of work you do? Is the work you're doing exhausting you in the morning and not giving you anything left in the afternoon? So what type of work actually gives you energy? And that is a huge, probably an entire episode of aligning the right tasks and projects on your schedule with your natural energy and what naturally gives you energy, because everybody's different. Okay, there's my example. Is that many of you are like, yes, isn't everybody exhausted at 3? Like I cannot make a decision after 3:00. I can't do deep work after 3:00. And I'm here to tell you it can look different. And are you willing to explore the solutions so that you can have a different experience? So if you want to bring more joy back into running your business, you've got to stop accepting the negative experiences you're having as your normal. Seek out opportunities to raise your standards and improve them so they work better for you, your life, and the business that you want. I have loved having you listen to Productivity Straight Talk. And I sure hope you found today's episode to be valuable, insightful, and inviting you to unnormalize your normal. But I need to be straight with you. No change, no change. Without taking action, nothing will change for you or your business. So based on this conversation I had with you today, telling you, maybe sharing with you many of the ways that you have normalized things in your business that are not bringing you joy. I am inviting you to choose one of those areas that I shared with you today that resonated. Or maybe I shared with you the list and something else came up for you. What came up for you that you are willing to change, to question, to unnormalize, to raise your standards and find solutions for? That's what I want for you today. Just choose one and then come back and choose another. If you want help calling out what you've normalized in your business and find and implement the solutions that can solve those for you, I would love to talk to you. I invite you to schedule a discovery call so that we can discuss partnering together to help you get unstuck, reduce stress, and determine a clear path to increase profits. Head on over to amberdelagarza.com/call. Again, that's amberdelagarza.com/call. If you have not already subscribed and this is your first time listening to Productivity Straight Talk, please go subscribe wherever you are listening. And I also want to remind you that all the show notes, the links to the previous episodes that I was pointing you to, can be found over at amberdelagarza.com/274. Again, that's amberdelagarza.com/274. And if you've been listening to Productivity Straight Talk for some time and do find each episode to be valuable, I would love to hear from you. I would love for you to leave me a review on iTunes. Today, we have a special thank you going out to Keeping It Real Deal, who recently said, "Amber rocks. So many tangible takeaways from the show. I love Amber's interview style and her authenticity. Keep up the great work." Thank you so much for keeping it real deal. So that's my straight talk for today. Until next time, have a productive week.